The UK is a treasure trove of hidden gems, and here's how you can find yours. Think of this as your secret source of property investing. This video is all about the hints, tips, tricks, and techniques in the property world. Very simple, but a very big outcome. So the first one is looking at emerging locations. So what I mean by this is most of the money in property isn't actually made from cash flow. So a lot of people talk about financial freedom and everything like that, but actually the cash flow, the rents and things like that, yeah, it pays a bit of money. But the true money, over 80% of the wealth that you accumulate over the decades is in capital growth. Now, capital growth or capital appreciation is basic supply and demand economics. So when there is more demand than there is supply, prices go up. And when there's more supply than there is demand, prices have to drop to realign and reach what is known as an equilibrium. And did you know there are forces that can work in your favor? So how do we find them? Well, one of the biggest ones is what's actually going on or planned to go on in your area. Let me give you some examples right now. The government has announced these economic zones where they're going to be the entrepreneurship zones. And what that means is what they're thinking about is reducing taxes in certain areas if a business operates there. That is really entrepreneurial in itself of the government, I think, by attracting, let's think of it, if you're making 10 million a year as a business profit, which I know none of us are, or I'm certainly not anyway, that's a really big business. And moving operations is quite costly. And by the way, what happens? A company that size probably brings about 500 employees with it. What happens then? That's 500 more properties that are needed. What happens then? That's 500 more people spending their money in the local economy. What happens then? More infrastructure needs to happen. What happens then? More workmen from around Europe are needed because there's not enough in the UK. What happens then? More hotels are needed to facilitate those people. What happens then? There's more need for blue collar workers such as cleaning crews and people work in restaurants. What happens then? Well, more education and facilitation has to go on, and it all feeds into each other. And I could keep on going. So the question is, how do you find out about this? Well, number one, watch the budgets. Yes, they are boring, and some of us would rather watch paint dry as more enjoyable than watching some of those clowns. No offense, government. However, it's a really good source of information. The next is something called a SHLA. So yes, I didn't pronounce that badly. SHLA. I'm going to spell it incorrectly. SHLAA, but it might be incorrect. Just look at it. It's basically your local development plan. The key things in your local development plan is the government and the local council has been kind of allocated these spots where they basically say, in the next 5 years, we need to develop this. And then what they do is they tell you what they have allocated as development. A great example of this is in Doncaster. They've got a big development going on there in a location that I invest in. And the locals are like, it's a shit location. Why would you invest here? Because there's hundreds and hundreds of millions of development going on, huge jobs that are going on. The next thing is development zonage. So there are around the UK areas that have development zonage. So in Leeds, for example, everyone knows Leeds is a great investment area, but South Leeds, it's probably the slightly rougher end of Leeds, to be fair. Okay. However, it's not a bad place at all. What you might not know is there's something called the South Bank development going on, which is all in the government plans, by the way. It's 350 football pitches worth of residential development. Like, try to visualize what a professional size football pitch looks like for a second. Then have 350 of those. This isn't a couple of houses. This will be hospitals. This will be new roads created. This will be new schools created. This will be cinemas created. It will be an entire ecosystem, a new infrastructure. Now think about whatever the normal capital growth is, 7.9% average per year in the UK, right? Imagine what happens when that size of development happens. It's a new city. Where do you think capital growth goes? The only way is up. Next is off-market opportunities. So there's ways you can get access to this. Let me just explain what off-market means. Essentially, it's not with an estate agent on Rightmove, Zoopla, or on the market. Now, the reason why this creates such an opportunity It's because of lack of competition, which is lack of demand. And remember, when we're doing supply versus demand, when the demand's lower, this person normally needs to drop their price. But it's not actually about the price that you're getting it at. It's about the location and how creative you can be about these deals. When you are the only person able to facilitate speed, and bear in mind, the average property takes around 300 days to sell and complete when listed with an estate agent. Speed is the name of the game when it comes to negotiating this. So then it's, how do you actually get there? Well, there's the more conventional things like letters and leaflets and things like that. But actually, you'd be surprised what you can pick up on Gumtree, you can pick up on Facebook Marketplace, and my favorite, paid for ads, specifically Facebook ads. I love it. And the other is Google ads, specifically YouTube ads. So a short video, you've probably seen some of my ads. Maybe there's one interrupting this video, I don't know. No, I don't know. So let's see. And the cool thing that I love about it is you create an advertisement once. Let's say creating a video. Yes, videos can be scary to do, but you don't need to film it yourself. It might take me a few hours of filming, thinking, and then obviously the team doing the editing and stuff like that. And then the ad goes out there. The cool thing is, I go asleep, the ad's out there. I go on holiday, the ad's out there, showing it to more and more people, and then they get in touch with me. Think about, from a sales point of view, how powerful that is. So that's what we do. Another target, which is a nice little niche, is letting agents. So you think, what can you guarantee a letting agent has loads of? Not just property, specifically buy-to-let properties. They already made investments. You can get in touch with them as a contact point, and they can bring you properties to your portfolio because they want to carry on managing it. They don't want their landlords going, hey, I'm going to sell my properties off, and then they lose the client, they lose the business, and somebody else gets it. It's just a terrible situation for them. So you can take advantage of that. And by the way, that's what we actually do in Aspire Property Group, is we specialize in getting these off-market direct-to-vendor deals. And if you hang around, I'm going to give you a free guide showing you exactly what we do in the business. Finally, we look at alternative property methods. So when you've got your primary method of buying property, which I think is really important. So for me, it is boring, vanilla buy-to-let properties. But for you, it might be anything you want. I'm not knocking any other strategy. But that should be your attack plan. And my strong recommendation is to go out with one thing you are attacking, but you want more tools in the toolbox. You want to be a solutions provider, and think of yourself as that builder that's got all the tools, all the fucking wizardry that are going on. And you might not use all of the tools in the toolbox, but the fact that you've got them is really good. So you might like using the hammer, and yes, it's going to be great on a nail. Maybe it's good for getting in the odd screw, but it's not going to be perfect. But then you also got the pipe cutter that you're not going to use very often, but when it's usable, is very useful. And it's the same with strategies. So I would always look to understand what exchange delayed completion is, assisted sale is, and lease options. And I think if you can understand those when you're going out there to apply your strategy, you are going to maximize your opportunity to put forward a solution, which means maximize the opportunity to make money. So if you don't know what any of those are, or you want more videos on all of them, just put the title of one of those in, and I'll create some content for you moving forward. Now, I promise everyone, if they stayed behind at the end, I would give them a free guide, and I have done just that. I've put together a brand new, boring, vanilla buy-to-let property guide, and it is only for you guys on YouTube. So the way you get access to that is clicking the link below, download it, it's completely free, and then what we're going to do as at random select few, invite you to a free one-to-one strategy session. And on that strategy session, what we're going to do is go through a journey of where you're at today, where you want to get to, and get some clarity on how we're going to do that. And hey, at the end of it, maybe you end up wanting to work with us to help you on that journey. So the way you get access to that is click the link below. It's completely free. Every single one of you could have a copy, and then we're going to select people at random to have a free one-to-one strategy session. Hopefully this has been valuable. If it has, just tick that like button. It takes 2 seconds and really does help the algorithm, so it's feeding back to me that you enjoyed this video. And if you're new to the channel, hey, why not hit the subscribe button and the notification bell just to keep up to date with any new videos that come out around property investing made just for you.